Ever since the Commander's Quarter started making 20-minute videos for like every card that Wizard spoilers, I've been missing those good, like, those old, ridiculously cheap Commander deck techs they made? Like the one where you could just pick up a whole Commander deck for like 25 bucks? So that's what this video is. To make sure that this deck was like stupidly affordable, every card in it is priced at under 25 cents at the time of this recording, going by TCG player mid prices, and excluding basic lands. This gives us a deck that can still play at a reasonable power level that you can pick up for under 20 bucks most places you buy. With that out of the way, let's get into the deck tech. Starting with our blink targets and payoffs, in the CMC1 slot we have Nested Shambler. While not being an especially good blink payoff, it is very good with Minthara's pumping, making a powerful attacker our opponents won't want to block and kill due to fear of flooding the board with squirrels. In our CMC2 slot we have Dawnbringer Cleric, Spirited Companion, and Hidden Stockpile, with Cleric offering a bit of flexibility based on the situation, while Companion will just net us a card every time it comes down. Stockpile gives us a token every turn we can trigger Minthara, and will also help us trigger her and itself in a pinch, including with the tokens it makes sacrifice to itself. In our CMC3 slot, we start with Bronze Walrus, Circuit Mender, and Mage's Attendant. Walrus does double duty in this deck, giving us a decent blink target for a little bit of card filtering, while also ramping us into our bigger spells. Circuit Mender gets us a card every time it leaves the battlefield, and an incremental amount of life gain every time it comes down. Mage's Attendant makes us wizard tokens to help tax some of our opponent's more impactful non-creature spells by a turn or two. It can also function as a more mundane counterspell if we can blink the Attendant at instant speed in order to surprise our opponents with a token. Following those, we have Phyrexian Rager, Priest of Ancient Lore, and Rumor Gatherer. Phyrexian Rager and Priest of Ancient Lore both net us cards when they come down, while Rumor Gatherer gives us repeatable card selection on all our flicker targets, while also netting us a card if we can do it 2 times a turn. Rounding out our CMC3 slot, we have Skullport Merchant and Solemn Recruit. Merchant ramps us a little with treasures, and in a pinch can sack the treasure it makes or other creatures we have to dig us or trigger Minthara, while Recruit with Minthara out becomes an excellent beater that grows every turn and has double strike. Moving into the CMC4 slot, we have Core Cartographer and Lulu Loyal Hollyphant. Cartographer does double duty in this deck, both ramping us and serving as an excellent flicker target to get up to our bigger spells and thin our deck. Lulu gives our whole team pseudo-vigilance as long as we can trigger her, and also pumps up our board. In the CMC5 slot, we have Reverent Hoplite. This makes 2 tokens coming down on an empty board, and is even better if we have some other permanents to up our devotion, helping us go wide if we can blink it a couple of times. In the CMC6 slot, we have Evangel of Heliod, Pegasus Guardian, and Underworld Hermit. Evangel does the same thing as Hoplite, but at 1 more mana. Hermit does the same thing, but for a devotion to black, and Pegasus does the double duty of blinking one of our permanents and then giving us a payoff with the evasive flyers it makes to hit our opponents with. In the CMC7 slot, we have Dusk Mangler, Glorious Enforcer, and Meteor Golem. We only play Dusk Mangler's cost once when we cast it, but then we can flicker it every turn to drain our opponents and put them off their game plans. Glorious Enforcer helps us close games out, gaining us lots of life in the air with Minthara's pumping and potentially double striking, which can often take out hurt opponents in one shot, while Meteor Golem can be flickered to deal with any permanents that are causing us trouble. Finishing off our blink targets, we have Sandstone Oracle and Soul of Migration. Oracle lets us refuel every time we flicker it, so long as the opponent has more cards than us, while Soul of Migration makes 2 flyers as it comes down. If we have an instant speed blink spell, we can evoke Soul of Migration and respond to the sacrifice trigger by blinking it, getting its enter the battlefield effect twice and keeping it around. Moving on to our blinkers, we start in the CMC2 slot with Flicker of Fate, Justicar's Portal, and Long Road Home. Flicker of Fate hitting enchantments has a few niche uses with our deck, such as changing what our Touch the Spirit Realm is exiling or resetting our 1 saga, but Justicar's Portal can double as a combat trick, and while Long Road Home doesn't have the creature come back immediately, it will come back a bit bigger and will also let us get around some difficult blockers on our opponent's board. Rounding out the slot, Otherworldly Journey is another copy of Long Road Home, and while Touch the Spirit Realm can also come down at CMC3 to get rid of a problematic artifact or creature, we can also channel it to flicker one of our payoffs. In the CMC3 slot, Flicker Wisp blinks one of our creatures on ETB, while Acrobatic Maneuver also nets us a card, and Far Traveler lets us do it without spending a card every turn, as long as we have our commander out. In the CMC4 slot, Gale Powder Mage lets us blink something every time we can swing with it, made a little bit easier by it flying. Glimmerpoint Stag lets us blink anything on ETB, and Icewind Stalwart lets us blink anything that's not a warrior, which misses exactly 2 creatures in our deck. In the CMC5 slot, we have Abdel Adrian, Gorian's Ward, who can come down and exile our whole board and make us a bunch of soldiers, while letting us get every single ETB effect we have if we can flicker him and giving us some board wipe insurance. We also have our last piece of spell-based blinking with Subtle Beyond Reality, which doubles as a removal spell for our opponent's creatures. Moving on to our card draw, besides our Into the Battlefield creatures, we have some black-based card draw with Blood Pact, Succumb to Temptation, Ambition's Cost, Ancient Craving, and Greed. All of these will essentially let us trade some life for card draw, digging us a little bit deeper for our flicker payoffs. We also run a very small recursion package with Graceful Restoration and Unburial Rites to get back key pieces. We also have a Ram Suite based heavily on artifacts with Charcoal Diamond, Marble Diamond, Gold Mirror, Commander Sphere, Fountain of Ichor, Orzhov Cluestone, Orzhov Keyrune, Orzhov Locket, Hedron Archive, Sisay's Ring, and Stone Speaker Crystal, with Sphere, Cluestone, Locket, and Hedron Archive being sackable in a pinch to draw, while Stone Speaker Crystal is excellent graveyard hate for our opponents. For our removal package, we have Crib Swap, Hero's Downfall, Mortify, Return to Dust, and Elspeth's Nightmare, which we can also blink with some of our flicker effects to reset for more value. For our Wraths, we have a smaller board wipe with Golden Demise, and two larger ones with Feast of Succession and Ichor Explosion, with Feast of Succession giving us the Monarch and Ichor Explosion scaling to the power of our pumped up creatures. For our mana base, we run 3 MDFCs, specifically Black Bloom Rogue, Skyclave Cleric, and Menkindi Stampede. We want to be playing these on the land side, but sometimes they help as evasive attackers, flicker targets, or a pump effect in the late game. We run Encroaching Waste to hit our opponent's high priority lands, Evolving Wilds to fix us and trigger Minthara in a pinch, Foundry of Consuls for some emergency tokens, Memorial to Folly for a little graveyard recursion, and Memorial to Glory for more emergency tokens, Mortuary Mire for some recursion, Orzhov Basilica for our colors, Bath of Ancestry for our colors and some incidental scry, Silver Quill Campus for our colors and some scrying in a pinch, Study Hall for some scry if the game goes long, Temple of the False God for some ramp, Terramorphic Expanse for the same reasons as Evolving Wilds, and Urza's Factory for repeatable token creation. We also finish our mana base off with 11 plains and 10 swamps. If you're looking to up the deck's power level and are willing to buy cards for more than a quarter, I'd recommend starting with the Wraths, as being restrained to Wraths under a quarter hurts the deck the most. I'd follow that with more repeatable Blink and better payoffs, and then a better finisher to top out the curve, most likely replacing Glorious Enforcer. For being under $20 total, the deck certainly functions better than I would have hoped, and does some powerful things if you can get your engine going. It's also less than the price of signing up for a draft. Let me know any budget all-stars I might have missed, and what you thought about the deck in the comments. Thank you for watching.